What's up, and welcome back to Local Sports Tonight. I'm Ivan Vargas. Thank you for joining me. It has been quite a frustrating time in Chicago sports. Nonetheless, I'm here to deliver my opinions to you. I guess you could say there's very interesting news coming out of the Blackhawks camp. A lot of signings today. The Blackhawks seem to be on the move. Uh, I'll get to that in a minute, but before we get started, please like, share, and subscribe to Local Sports Tonight with Ivan Vargas. It has been quite a interesting journey for the White Sox coming off of those championship years, last one being 2015. And you see, even yesterday, and I apologize because I forgot to get to it last show on Friday. During the draft, the Blackhawks ended up drafting a young defenseman, Anton. I'm going to screw his name up. I know I will, but I'll leave it. I'll leave it right now. But they drafted young man from Michigan State, defenseman. I believe he could also come out and play wing as well. I like the way the Blackhawks have been set up. They go ahead and get Tyler Bertuzzi from I believe it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. They go ahead and bring back Teuvo Teravainen from one of those championship teams. Bring him back. They believe he traded him to Carolina, and now he's back. A familiar face, somebody who I'm sure coming back to this team wants to go ahead and bring them back to glory. Like I would imagine, he's a guy that's been in this organization, a guy that's helped out the Blackhawks, tremendously during their Cup run in 15. It's very, very fun times, I would say, for the Hawks. You had, just having Bedard winning the Rookie of the Year, drafting a number 2 overall this year, now signing some quality players. It seems like the Blackhawks, above all, I would say above the Bulls, above the Cubs, above the Sox right now. I'll leave the Bears, I'll leave the Bears out of this because the Bears have been doing a lot. But the Blackhawks seem to be the team on the rise. They seem to be the only team in Chicago right now that has some balls and is going to really go for it. You got the Bulls in a flux. The White Sox are, what they are. The Cubs, God bless them. I hope they figure it out. But, coming from this Cubs fan, it doesn't look well. You have the Bears, like I said, Bears aside, you have some things going. You obviously have the Sky, but as far as the three bigs are the 4 big teams, right? There are 5 big teams if you want to call it. Bulls, Cubs, Sox, Blackhawks, and the Bears. It seems to me, and like I said, I know the Bears are in there, but just leave the Bears out of this. Out of the other 4, the Hawks seem to be the only ones that care. The Hawks seem to be willing to go risk some money to go and bring something back, bring some type of substantial product on the ice back. Almost said field, but it's the ice, and I like it. I'm very happy that they're trying to do something right now, where it seems like they have a direction, whereas the Bulls, who knows? We could say the Cubs kind of have an idea. They'll tell you they have an idea, but I think that they're just kind of treading water right now, trying to regroup and figure things out. But the Blackhawks, man, they seem like they want to win right now. So the Hawks signed, like I said, they few big signings today. They also had a few other signings. Tyler Bertuzzi and Teuvo Teravainen. I believe Bertuzzi received a $22 million deal for 4 years. Teravainen's agreement is worth 16.2 million over 3 seasons. So Tavo's here for a little bit. Bertuzzi's here for 4 years. These aren't, signing those two isn't a, hey, we're gonna sit back and try to develop guys. It seems like they're gonna go ahead and really try to bring some of these younger hockey players that they have up to speed quickly. You have guys that have been in playoff runs. You have guys that have won Stanley Cups now. You have a young superstar in the making in Connor Bedard, Rookie of the Year. Now you start bringing in some real talent, some veterans who are still in their prime, and are able to be that security for a young player like Connor Bedard, where he doesn't necessarily have to do everything. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be all on him, even though he's fantastic. He's wonderful, but you need to look at it like as this. Can you put a lot on Connor Bedard's play? I'm sure you can, and I'm sure he will try to take as much as he possibly could, even in his second year. Kid seems like he loves hockey. But for me, don't give him that Jay Cutler treatment where you're not bringing in talent around him, where you're not protecting him, where you're not giving him the opportunity to be great. Right? Go the Bears route. Surround him with talent. Continue to pump. Go after the. To use a phrase, a Caps phrase, chasing greatness. Chase greatness with this hockey team. It's a new cast of characters. Chicago. For the fans that love the Cup run with Kane and Tays and Sharp and Keith and Seabrook and all those guys, right? This is you're on the cusp of something better. Or excuse me, you're on the cusp of something new. Not saying it's going to be better, but I would say let's embrace it a little bit, because I feel like the Blackhawks are in these next few years are going to once again be contenders, especially if they're able to bring in young talent such as Bertuzzi, such as Teravainen, bringing him back. It'll be good for me. What's that, Dan? You fucked me up with that great background. Oh, yeah, it moves around. They allow it here on StreamYard now. You just find a clip or something like that. You can just play it. I just found this nice sunset of the skyline. So, what's up, Lawrence? How are you? First of all, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Yeah, what was that say? Was that Dan? The Blackhawks draft first sometimes was speed. Yeah. You know what? To be honest, I would love for the Hawks to get faster, and if that's what they're doing, then so be it. Defense, a guy like, God, I'm gonna try to say his name. Let me bring it up, because I said it last night and I said I was gonna do it without looking at it. It's and Tim, oh my gosh, where is the roster for the Hawks? Let me bring that up real quick. Hold on, unless one of you guys has it. Hawks draft. Honestly, I hope he's great, because I hope he's great so I could remember his name next time. I feel like I feel like I should have at least tried, but either way, he's going to be a guy that could. So they were saying, kind of a two-way type of player. He's a defenseman, but he could, like I said, like Dan was saying, he has speed enough to play wing and come down. I guess he has offensive talent. I'm not gonna pretend like I've watched his games, but from what I've heard and read, that's who he is. I'm looking forward to it, man. I really miss the Hawks being great. It's not a kid. No, it's not. It's not that. No, uh, it's not. But I wish that they, like I said, I wish that they do right by Connor Bedard because I really feel like, the games that I watched him this season, it was kind of hard to watch the Hawks, but the games I did watch Connor Bedard, just impressive. You could see, he's very fearless on the ice. Like he belongs. So for me, and I'm not some uh, uh super knowledgeable hockey guy. I would say novice at best. But from what I've seen, like this kid looks like the next coming of a Kane. The next coming of a whatever superstar you want to young superstar you want to name. He looks like the real deal. And now that they're bringing young talent around him, it's awesome. Just keep it up. Let's go ahead and jump over to the Cubs. And with that, like I said, I was working on backgrounds, working on things. Got to keep working on things. With work, it's just a pain in the ass to kind of sit down. I almost fall asleep. Sometimes sitting here trying to do certain things to set this background up, but nonetheless, been working on some things. Here's a Cubs background I'm going to roll with. Speaking of the Cubs, they drop another series, and quite frankly, this team is headed straight for the cellar, and I'm talking the trade deadline. They're going to be sellers at the trade deadline. They're headed straight there. I don't see any way where they're breaking out of this funk that they've been in since the beginning of May. They've lost in disrespectful fashion yesterday. They've been lackluster on the base pass. You've already known what they've done late in innings with their bullpen, their pitching, their offense it's not even mid, it's below mid. So it's very frustrating if you're a Cubs fan right now. You're wondering what we need to do in order to get this team going. On Saturday, I was watching a game and you had Justin Steele going off. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. And I love it. And I loved it. I loved it. I was like, yes, finally, take charge. You take it. If nobody else wants to fucking speak up, then one of the players needs to take something. And it's not that you're losing your cool, right? Because he lost his cool. He did lose his cool, but it's not that he's losing his cool just to fucking lose his cool. Justin Steele's a competitor. He believes in his team. I want to believe in this team. But this team, day in and day out, are just the same inconsistent bunch they've been since the beginning of May. And it's just gotten worse. It hasn't gotten better. Want to talk about Kyle Hendricks getting a little better? He looked bad. He looked bad on Sunday. Kyle Hendricks marching out there talking about him using his curveball more. He's looking more effective. Well, not to the Milwaukee Brewers. To the Milwaukee Brewers, he still looked like Kyle Hendricks, and they teed up. And he was chased, and then it was on from there. It was the same old story, same old song and dance, and it's hard. It's hard to watch bad baseball, just like it's hard to watch bad footballs. And quite honestly, I think Christopher Morel shouldn't be starting at third base. At least for like at all. But I know there's like, what are you gonna do? But God, some people want to blame that on Nico. I don't think it was Nico. I think it was Christopher Morel. Like, why? The distance is already being shrunk with Nico chasing him right in the rundown. He's coming. He's already coming from, where was he? Second base down to third base. You have Morel at the bag. Why in the world did you come off the bag? Pretty much like make the area to that he had to throw pretty much none, and he threw it away. It was just a shit show all around. But I think Morel deserved more flack than anybody. It was just abysmal. And then big inning ensues. Cubs did come back in that game, right? They came back and won, which is great. But it didn't happen until somebody had to fucking light a fire under their ass. And that somebody is Justin Steele. This guy over here. And thank God Justin Steele fired him up, because after that, the Cubs, like I said, they gave up runs. They were able to battle back. I enjoyed it. I was pumped up. I was happy. Somebody said something. Then you see Sunday's game, and it just goes back to being fucking flat again. It goes back to bleh. And I just feel like right now, Craig Counsell is a guy, I won't say he's walking on eggshells, but he's a guy who's a little bit sheepish in the clubhouse. Look, he's inheriting a club. Wasn't his. I expect that a lot of Cubs players had a connection with David Ross. They've been with him for a while. Like I said, there were going to be issues, but I feel like right now, Craig, you got to take control of this shit. Like you got to, like, enough of this. We got to get healthy. Enough of the. There's other things that you can, that your players need to be able to control, that are controllable, that you're not doing as a ball club. And it's very frustrating to watch. Very frustrating to watch. Pitching aside, hitting has been abysmal. I mentioned the stats on Friday. Still, piss poor, streaky at best. If you want to say that, piss poor is probably more consistent, with it. But yeah, it's not good, not good at all. Look at the Cubs. The last few series, the last series they won was the dates the 17th through the 19th against the Giants. They won that Giants series. They beat the Giants in the back two of that 3-game set. And, after that, you had the Mets and a big weekend set with the Mets, right? Huge weekend set with the Mets. You're drowning. You're starting to, trying to plug up the holes in the ship. And then you go to New York. Or you don't go to, I'm sorry, you play New York and the Mets kick your ass, right? Then you go to San Francisco. You lose 3 out of 4. Not good. Come back to Milwaukee. And this time it's like this, at this point, I'm almost like, this is like do or die situation. You're last in the division. Your whole team seems like they're in a downward spiral. You have Iwanaga, you have, some really good starts from Justin Steele. You're getting good, pitching, but at a certain point, when does the frustration sink in? When does that begin to, weigh heavy on some of these pitchers? Like the lack of run support, the lack of support out of the bullpen. You have a guy going out there throwing a gem. He gets pulled after 6.5 or 6 1/3, whatever it may be, and then he has to go sit there and watch. He's a guy out of the bullpen give up a lead that he just worked his ass off, probably to even maintain, or was just filthy. It's hard to be optimistic when this has been the same week in, week out, day in, day out. They're the same ball club. It doesn't seem like anything's going to change. Hopefully, they start bringing up young guys, Canario, or whoever, Matt Shaw, Owen Casey. Start bringing up the younger guys. I know they keep talking about getting healthy. Even when you weren't healthy, the hitting was really the thing that was keeping you in it in April. We already saw that from the first series, and you're gonna tell me Azalea is gonna he's was he been hurt the whole year? No, he's been just bad the whole year. Maybe he got hurt, and that's shit happens, but it's not like he's been hurt since April. It's not that like he's been on the injured list all season long. It's just been bad, and it's been bad from the jump. But after April, then that's when the bats started cooling off. Maybe Seiya missing some time, maybe had something to do with it, but I don't think your entire lineup being subpar can be pointed, or can be blamed on one guy being out of the lineup. I just don't think that's the case. Somebody needs to step up. Cody Bellinger's been an MVP. He's out there not knowing what out it is. It's just very frustrating. Very frustrating to watch. We do have Shota Imanaga, what I imagine would be an all-star. He's been great. But even with his fantastic start to his MLB career and his Cubs career, he's a guy that needs help too. Like eventually, he's gonna have some games where he's not as sharp, as others, as we come accustomed to. But nonetheless, he's been fantastic for us. Justin Steele has been doing, pitching great since he's come back from injury. Javier Assad has been fantastic for us as well. But it's, again, if you don't have that run support, if you don't have that, I wouldn't say guarantee, but if you don't have that faith in the bullpen, it's very hard for and I've never played Major League Baseball, right? But playing organized baseball, knowing that, hey man, this guy's been struggling. He has it, like we're bringing him in late in the innings. He hasn't been pitching well. I don't know about this. And then sure enough, he gives up. It weighs on the player's psyche, right? You have to be a good teammate. Some people really don't care if they're good teammates or not. But in my opinion, like you can't just be like, man, you fucking suck, right there and then. But frustration sets in and it affects the team. So hopefully, whatever happens moving forward with the Cubs, it is something in that clubhouse with the manager. I think is like a connection with that group is probably the most important. I don't know how well they know him. I don't know how well they trust him. I just don't know what's going on, because it seems like Craig's frustrated as well, but he's just trying to keep his cool, trying to find out, who are his guys, because he knows nobody here. And like I mentioned before, these aren't his coaches. This isn't his coaching staff. I know I'm sure he trusts some of the guys there. He knows them, but how well do they know, Craig? How well does everybody, and it's not that he's an issue. It's just that, man, there's a comfortability and a trust factor that matters. Getting to know a guy, and I don't know. I feel like it's been a very, it's not. I feel like it's been a very frustrating uh, first half of the season. I'm hoping, I'm praying that the All Star break comes soon, which it will, uh, because I think it'll be good for the Cubs. Hopefully, it'll be good for the Cubs uh, to have a break and kind of reset and see what the second half brings. But as of right now, I just don't see them plugging all the holes in the ship. I think something's going to have to be done. Something that is, might bother some fans, but we've seen hell with even Milwaukee. Sometimes subtraction can be an addition. It can open up doors for other guys to succeed and help you out. Um, yeah, so let's move on to the White Sox. The White Sox, to be honest with you, if we want to talk bad about the White Sox, fine. Like, I mean, we already know where they are, but they had a 3-game winning streak that was just snapped, which is wild to say because I thought they were going to lose every series uh, for the rest of the way. But no, they beat the Atlanta Braves on the 27th of June. They ended up beating the Rockies in the final series of June, 2 out of 3 games. So even the White Sox, like even with that, and let's see where are they in their last 10? Let's see, they're 4-7 in their last 10 as compared to the Cubs. Let's see where the Cubs at. Cubs are 3. Oh no, yeah, the Cubs are 3-7. So the Cubs are the Sox are 4-6. Cubs are 3-7. What can I say? What can I say? It's been a shitty first half. I guess hats off to the Sox for kicking our ass in these last 10 games. Uh, yeah, Garrett Crochet probably is the only good thing about him. And I was talking to Jose and I was talking to Cars on Friday, and I asked him the question. For those of you guys that didn't watch or weren't here, I asked him, I was like, well, what do you guys think? You guys are both Sox fans. Do you think it's going to be Robert or do you think it's going to be Crochet? And both of them, as well as myself, were saying Robert. But then I listened to ESPN 1000 this morning, and they're telling me, with Cap and J Hood, great show. They're saying that Bob Nightingale is reporting that the Sox are interested in moving a Crochet and moving a Benintendi, which should have moved on from Benintendi a long time ago. But they're interested in moving a guy like Crochet, which is like, oh, are you just looking for whoever's going to give you the most back, the most bang for your buck? Is there do you believe in Luis Robert, or do you think that Crochet will get more than Robert, and you think that Robert's injuries can affect this deal, like affect a potential trade deal? Yeah, I Lawrence, you want to trade both of them? Lawrence wants to trade both of them. To be honest with you, at this point, where the team is headed, you have a guy like Eloy who's Mr. Glass. You have, Lou Bob who's, you know, got those I guess, got weak ankles, I guess you could say. But he just can't seem to stay healthy. He has, constant non-contact type of injuries, running the bags, taking off in the outfield. I don't think that there's that there's a future with holding on to some of these guys right now. I think that the White Sox, their experiment, the uh the team that wasn't, that the these guys, Roberts, Eloy, Moncada, uh, you know, the whole shebang. It's Keuchel when they brought him in. I just don't think this is going to be a team or a rebuild that is going to need to keep them around. They haven't shown me. I mean, you see Robert, you see the power, you see the speed, you see the athleticism, and you marvel at it. But again, you got to be able to stay on the field. And with the injuries that he has, it's all with running, and he runs with such power and speed. Like, how long is this going to affect him? He plays center field. Like, how often can this happen? So he's a guy that's you got to question too. And God knows how many Eloy injuries. Like, it has been well documented that Eloy has been on the shelf for, I would say, damn near half his career. At this point, damn near half his career. But he has been a disappointment. Moncada has been a huge disappointment. You already moved on from Abreu. You've already moved on from TA. Chris Getz, I would say, if you want to do something, Chris Getz, make it your team. Make it your team. Like, if you could avoid anything, and I know it's hard to avoid the shadow. I know it's hard to avoid the blob that is Jerry, and not that Jerry's fat, but he's like the blob. For those of you guys that know what I'm talking about, it just keeps coming after you. It keeps implementing itself upon you. It's just all your stuff. It just will not stop. And yeah, that's kind of how I see Jerry Reinsdorf being to everybody that's worked for him. Rick Hahn, Kenny, hell, even Ozzy. So unless there's a reason to keep, like a really, really good reason, and I understand that there's the talent factor, but I've already laid down why I feel like Crochet and Robert and this whole thing should be blown up and reassessed. And if it's Chris Getz's show, like I said, do that, dude, because I don't think there's anything that you can do to make this happen any faster. I think you're just going to have to bite the bullet and focus on a reset of, the farm system, man. Just focus on trying to rebuild what you had. And this time, don't fucking spoil it by bringing in, a half-drunk manager. And with all the respect in the world to what Tony La Russa was, what Tony La Russa was not when he got, when he pretty much got handed the job. That's why I feel like this team had issue. Like, even though they won, was it 93 games? They won a lot of games with La Russa that first year, but they were riding high from a playoff run. That I still don't understand why the A's beat that team. I just don't understand. But they were coming high off a playoff run, and we expected them to win a lot of games. Guys are playing well. I expected this team to be here forever, at least for their careers, right? But now looking at it and being an honest, and I am a Cubs fan, but being an honest sports fan, a baseball fan, I think it would be better to just rip the Band-Aid right off and move forward than to try to hold on to something that wasn't. So yeah, if Crochet has a market that's going to get you, some quality players, go ahead and pull the trigger. If Robert has it, pull the trigger. If they, if there's a package deal somewhere, maybe you could find the big the big fish, the big deal. But nonetheless, I think it's time to move forward from this team, or from these certain group of players. See what Shane says. Crochet will end up with the Dodgers. They need pitching, and they have the prospects to deal. To be honest with you, Shane, that makes a lot of sense. Like trading with the Dodgers makes a lot of sense. Everybody's like, "Oh no, we can't trade with the Dodgers. They're gonna, you know, it's gonna make them better. Like they're gonna win the World Series." Well, I mean, they're spending the money to to try to win the World Series. I mean, they got a shit ton of money. They could just do whatever they want with it. Literally, so like they could go ahead and sign whoever the fuck they want, and it kind of won't affect them in a sense. But they do have the talent in their farm system that can help you out. We got the Cubs got a guy like Michael Bush. I really like what Michael Bush has shown. Like there has been, there's been peaks and valleys as a young player, but really like what he's shown. He could play second. He's playing first right now, and he's doing an admirable job. It's you saw some growing pains in the beginning months, but as far as a glove man at first base, he's beginning to really feel the position. I feel like. So, nonetheless, going back to the Dodgers and the prospects, it just makes sense. Like, hey, what do you got? We have a guy that, is topping off at 103. He's been fantastic this year for us. What are we going to do? Hold him ransom, or just hold on to him and continue to finish at the bottom of the league for the next 3 years? No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So I would say, if you have if they really want Crochet and they really want to win this World Series, I would say you could ask for everything. Okay, you could ask for a lot of prospects, a lot of whatever. Hell, I don't think we could trade draft picks in the MLB, but you could get a lot of young talent that could potentially help you out. And I know, potential could get you fired, but in Major League Baseball, having a lot of young talent is a huge necessity, especially for a rebuilding team, and that's what I believe the Sox are going to be. Dodgers ain't winning anything if they don't improve their pitching. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like they're a team that I would say, and Shane, like Shane just said, should be a team that White Sox fans zero in on as a potential partner, due to the fact that everything I said, they're young talent in their farm system. They got the means to do it, and honestly, it won't hurt you in the AL whatsoever. So you won't ever unless it's an interleague game, you won't get to see Garrett Crochet, fuck you up in the division or anywhere else. So I would say it's a good landing spot for the Whites, or a good trade partner for the White Sox. What Lauren said, we can't even rebuild because we won't get the first pick. Yeah, it is what it is, man. But I think it's dude. How many first round draft picks are really in Major League Baseball? So, bona fide. Like there's a lot more than. Well, maybe it's not a lot more, but maybe it's about close. But it's quite a few of them have not been all-star major league players, right? So there's, Mike Trout was drafted, 20 something, 24, 23. He was drafted at the bottom of the draft. Like there's guys that have fallen through the cracks and have gotten drafted. There's guys that haven't gotten drafted. Baseball has, just so many avenues to reach its pinnacle. It's it's really, it's up to the talent. Like if you can develop your talent, you can have the size, you can have the speed, in high school. But if you're not able to develop and grow, it's you're not gonna be able to find success, and it's hard, especially with the stories from minor league baseball where these guys are making peanuts. I mean, unless you sign like a multi-million-dollar deal, these guys are making peanuts on the road. It's tough, but nonetheless, let's move forward. Let's talk Chicago Bulls. And sorry, the Bulls will be the next background I do. So we're gonna go back to the city cut. Let's talk Bulls. Chicago Bulls just gave Pat Williams $90 million over 4 years, or excuse me, over 5 years. And my question is, when is Pat Williams' development going to reach its climax? Like, when are we going to see the finished product of the Pat Williams development project? Is this $90 million going to put him over the top, or we start seeing a superstar? Will the elimination of the I want to call him a big three. Well, the movement of Zach, Vooch, and DeMar free up Pat Will? Will him and Kobe find some type of 1-2 type of dynamic? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, and it's just from what I've seen Pat Will do since he's been a Bull. Right, the first year, okay, you're a young man getting drafted. Second year, you want to see a little bit more. The third year, it's like, all right, come on, man. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? You have Billy Donovan here. You have, it was Karnisovas' pick. I was loving the pick because I'm like, yeah, okay, we have these guys that I thought were going to bring in people to develop players quickly. And if you're going to show me you're going to tell me about the talent of Pat Williams, yeah, I believe in the talent of Pat Williams. Is the talent of Pat Williams, like complete? Is he a complete player? No, sir, by any means. And it's very frustrating to see it. Like, okay, 90 mil, Pat Will, we're gonna give him 5 more years. Is this like, what is this? A development 5 years? Is there an opt out? Is there some type of clause involved? Because it's just 90 million over 5 years. I guess in the NBA, they got other guys making over $100 million. That is, just left and right. I feel like, but for what Pat Will hasn't done, 90 mil. All right, you like. I mean, we better see the talent. We better see the full development of Pat Williams within these 5 years, because, I mean, other than that, and I would just say that if you don't see it within 2 years, you're going to have to try to find a way out of this contract. You're going to have to try to find a way to separate yourself from Pat Williams. So I haven't seen the entire contract. I'd have to see the entire contract. Maybe there's opt-outs. I don't know. Maybe there's incentives. But when I saw that, I was like, Pat Williams needs to do way more, in my opinion, for me to be giving him 90 million over 5 years, and then have the gall to if this is what it is, it'd be ballsy for them to be like, hey, yeah, Pat is still developing. I'm like, Pat's had an ample amount of time to develop here, sir. Like, I'm not seeing the development that I want to see out of Pat Williams. Pat Williams still plays scared. I still don't trust Pat Williams hitting an outside jumper. There's things in Pat Williams' game that are lacking, and it's clear as day. But he was their guy. He was their guy. If you remember, He was their guy, and I don't think they're. I think for a tourist, it's hard to let go of his first pick, right? It's hard to let go of that. You want it to work. I want it to work. I was hyped on Pat Will. I thought he was going to come in, need a couple years to develop, get used to the game, but the lack of aggressiveness, attitude, like I said, I'm iffy on his jump shot from the outside. It's just very frustrating. Then you read $90 million, and then you read about all the issues that this team had. Zach being who Zach is. Uh, Demar hasn't had an issue really. Like I mean, I like Demar, but what is he going to do for this team? What is he going to do for this team? This team is obviously. It, I wouldn't call it a rebuild, but I would say it's a I guess you'd call it a mini rebuild or something like that, like a retooling, if you will. You're getting guys like Giddy, getting a little bit younger, trying to reset the clock on everything and try to figure things out on the fly. You got to, Vooch, DeMar, and Lavine got to go first and foremost. But after that, Pat Will, this is a big year. These next couple of years are big because if you don't see major steps from Pat Williams, it's time to start thinking what we're doing with him as a player and where you're failing at and potentially where you can send him. Because I don't want to 5 years, 90 million. I think that the years are more troublesome than the dollar amount. It's like 5 more years. Like if he was, a superstar, 5 more years, I'd be like, fuck yeah, 5 more years, 5 more years. Like I'd be cheering for Pat Will, but for the lack of progression in the with his game, I don't understand it. I don't get it. Is it desperation? Maybe maybe it is. Like I mentioned before, it's their first pick. They want to make sure that this works. They don't want to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Like I said, I want the Bull. This Bulls fan base really has just had their face stepped on year in and year out. Right. Uh, we already know the owner. We already know some of the things that have happened. You know, Derrick Rose, if you're out there, we still love you. All those guys, Lou, Joe, those guys. But those guys, that team in particular, I'm not talking about. But after that, how they handled D Rose, how they handled Jimmy, even up to now, how they handled marketing, fucking Boylan coming in as the coach. God, ugh, what dark times. So, excuse me if I'm like a little frustrated and you know, uh, I would say lacking faith. But what have the Chicago Bulls shown any of us in the city of Chicago to make us believe that this team's going to put together a solid young nucleus that's going to progress together when we haven't seen development already, right? And it's been quite some time since they've been, since Eversley and Tourist and Mark Eversley have been in the front office. When is go time? I thought it was go time with Lavine. You saw how that kind of crumbled. We're over here trying to win, you know, in season fucking tournaments and shit. Like, when is it going to boil over? Because I know Bulls fans, and I'm diehard Bulls fans, young and old, are fed up with this crap, and they want a winner. They want a winner on the West Side. They want the Bulls to be back, and it's That's why I said, the Blackhawks showing me that they are in it to fucking win it. Like they're ready to start moving forward. They got a young talent. They've some might say they gotten lucky, but they haven't been really good. So they've gotten young talent. The Bulls can, for the love of God, be able to develop their young talent. They'd be right in there with the Blackhawks, but they just don't. They're just not able to do it. I don't know why. I don't know for what reason. It just hasn't been done. And then you see, like I said, you see guys like Markkanen leave and have success somewhere else. Develop elsewhere. Just very frustrating. Very frustrating to be a Bulls fan. Let's go ahead and jump over. Talk a little WNBA before we get to the Bears. Angel Reese continues to be fantastic for her team. Outside of the beef with Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese has been one of the bright spots as a rookie in the WNBA. I'll say this about the rivalry. I like that she's playing, like she wants to embrace the quote unquote bad guy role. But like I said, I hope this is more about basketball than it is like some personal beef, because if it's, due to the NIL money and whatever you need to motivate yourself, fine. But if there's like some actual like vendetta where you're out to like hurt another person on the court, then I have a problem with it. But strictly basketball, this is awesome for the WNBA. And Angel Reese the other night broke a Candice Parker record, 10 straight double doubles. Right there you go, Lawrence. 10 straight double doubles. And you just can't deny that she's been a bright spot on the team, a bright spot in the league, and like a young, crop of rookie women who are, very effective for their teams right off the bat. She's one of them. Cardozo's getting a lot of playing time. She's another one that's effective. You obviously know Clark. So for her, congratulations. Continue to play well. Continue to do well. The Sky are, like I said, I believe the Sky are. Let me find the standings. Here we are. Sky aren't doing great like as an overall team, but you have something in Angel Reese. You found a player in her. You've have a rivalry that could quite possibly, if as these two teams hopefully continue to grow and ascend, and I'm talking about the Sky and the Fever, this rivalry could be, one of like I can't really recall another major rivalry where one player or two players are beefing like this one, and obviously one is beefing more than the other, but it's a very hostile rivalry, and this is a really really good thing for the WNBA. As long as it stays with basketball, I'm all for it. So congratulations to her. Uh, continue to grow as a player. 10 straight double doubles, breaking Candice Parker's record. Obviously it means something. Candice Parker, you know who she is in basketball and women's basketball in this state. You know who she is as a champion of with the Sky, and playing with the Sparks. So it's a big thing for her coming in as a rookie doing that. So congratulations to her, and hopefully she continues to grow. So for me, let's go ahead and move on to Bear Talk. Give me 1 second actually. So Bears will be in training camp this month. I'm pulling up the tickets or the date that they're going to be going on sale. I believe it's the 7th, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's the 7th or the 9th. I believe it might be the 9th. Let me look this up. Bears training camp tickets. Here we are. So tickets will be on sale July 9th. If you guys want to jump on that, make sure you're in the chat room early because that shit is going to fly. So if you want to go out there, and let me go ahead and bring up the schedule here for you guys. Make sure you guys get out there. Yeah, here's the, make it a little bigger. There it is from the website. As you see, be ready to go. Like I said, last time I was there last year, I did. My brother actually was the one that nailed the tickets for me. I was in the chat in the room as well. I couldn't even get in at a certain point, and I felt like I was right on time. We all waited for the same time for when it unlocked, and just nothing. I got nothing. So be ready to go. They do fly. So be ready to go if you want to grab your tickets. So anyway, going and talking about Bears. Looking forward to this training camp. Obviously, Caleb Williams is the main attraction. But I'm also looking for other things, like looking for the progression with the offensive line. Looking to see how the new offensive linemen are gelling together. Yeah, it's training camp. Yeah, you're only going to see certain things, but you like to see aggressiveness. Sometimes you'd like to see a little fighting. You'd like to see a little edge on a team, right? And I'm trying to look for that. Hopefully, they have a great turnout again. I'm sure it's probably going to be the biggest turnout they've ever had. Hopefully, they let in a little bit more because I feel like if they were able to, and for those who have been there, if they were able to kind of clear out some of that, and I don't know I don't know if it's their land, right behind the bleachers, if you're going to the fields by Hallis Hall, there's a bunch of vegetation, just like, regular old, just nature. And I feel like if you could clear that out a bit, maybe you can add, a few more fans, a few more seats, make it a little more comfortable for people. People can walk around, stuff like that. Because sometimes it really gets cramped in there. Like I feel like I'm walking, the walk isn't as bad, but then like when you're getting into your, the bleachers and such, it's just like, it's like, man, we're really packed in here. And then, obviously it's hot as shit. So I would like just a little more space. You could add, bathrooms. You could add, a water fountain if you have it, or another beverage station. I just feel like the Bears do very little when it comes to the training camp. I feel like training camp for the Bears can be such an event that they just don't. I mean, it's like I said, it's cool. Like they have certain things that the radio station will come out there sometimes, but it's like, even the last couple of years, like I've kind of seen all this shit. Like you guys kind of have done the same shit. Like, what's new? I like the Staley coming out. I like the football engraving. I do like that taco truck. Geez, I forgot the name, but they got this taco truck that comes there almost every year. It's just delicious. Like I prepare myself in the morning. No, I don't eat any breakfast because I know I'm gonna have a giant burrito as soon as I get there because it's too good to pass up. Hopefully they're there again. Yeah, Dan, I hope it is different this year. I hope they because I'm a fan. I know I'm asking for everything, right? Like but there's just it's the little things. Like there's just a little bit more that could be done that could make it a little more comfortable for the fans. Especially with fans with kids. Uh, yeah, it can make it a little more comfortable. That's just me, but you can walk around freely. You can walk around to the Walter Payton Center. But as far and I'm strictly talking about when you're right there on the field watching the practice. If you have to take a piss, you're gonna have to walk your ass on over somewhere. Get up, walk all through the crowd of people. It's a shit ton of people you got to walk through. Get to the bathroom. It's just could be a little bit easier. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, the Eastern time. Sorry, James. I've been here for a while. Been here for a while. Uh, just play it back. It's all right. Just shooting the shit and in the show. Talking a little bit about the Bears training camp. Uh, looking like I said, looking forward to Caleb. Looking forward to the big names and such. But little things like how they're playing, how fast they're practicing. Uh, you know how like even if there is aggressiveness, if there's fights, like I'm not saying they all have to just start brawling each other, but if there's some aggressive, good extracurricular play, like if two guys are working and fighting, I like that. I like that. If you got a D lineman and an offensive lineman that are going at it, and I'm not talking about like and I mean I really like one and two going at it. The whistle's blown, they're still going at it. One goes down or whatever. I'm okay with it as long as it's not like, hey, we're just you know we're fighting because we fucking suck. If it's we're fighting because we're playing aggressively or we're practicing aggressively, awesome. And of course, like I said, of course, Caleb. I mean, what can we do? I obviously want to see him in Bears orange and blue. My I'm more eager to see him in the Hall of Fame game. I'm more eager to see him playing against some live competition outside of his team, right? And I hope his team is challenging him too, which I'm sure they are. But I want to see him in game action, how he handles the huddle. I want to see how he uh, uh, has adjusted to the playbook. I want to see, even Waldron. I want to see how Waldron's offense is run under Caleb Williams. It's very, very, you know, it's a very, very anxious time for me because I'm like, we're almost there. Like we're almost there. Like I said, it's a dead period with Chicago football right now until training camp starts. That's pretty much why I've put a pause on another Bear show on the Tape Never Lies, and it's one of the more frustrating periods I can remember because I'm so eager, just like I'm sure you guys are, to see what we have now. We saw what happened with Justin. We saw the Nagy debacle. We've seen it fucking all, right? As Chicago Bears fans, we've seen it fucking all. I want to see it with somebody who has some competence leading the offense. And you know, here goes nothing. I guess on the season. Like let's get this fucking thing going. Like I'm tired of waiting for it. Our training camp will be the first taste. But like I said, for me, I rather it be the Hall of Fame game that's being played that first training camp day. But nonetheless, I'm very excited to see Caleb Williams. I actually would want to see what DeAndre Swift is going to be utilized as. Like, obviously, you don't sign him to that deal if he's not going to be the lead back, but just how they're going to utilize DeAndre. Is he going to be, is he going to be a 3 down back? Are they going to mix it in series to series? Is he going to, is there going to be a passing package that he splits time? What's going to happen there at running back is something that's very interesting to me as well. So I'll be looking at the running back situation. I mentioned, offensive line got a bunch of new faces here. They're still, might bring in people. There's talk about bringing in other guys. So we'll see what's going on. James, I hope he looks like Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk, I'll tell you this. Marshall Faulk was one of the best fucking, and I'm sure I don't have to tell you guys, but Marshall Faulk was just dynamic. Like, Marshall Faulk could do it fucking all. He could run you over. He could juke you out of the shoes. He could catch passes out of the backfield, take it fucking 60 yards. Marshall Faulk was amazing. Like, he was one of the great running backs in NFL history, period. So if he could look anything like fucking Marshall Faulk, James, I would be excited. I would be ecstatic if suddenly DeAndre Swift was Marshall Faulk in this offense. That'd be amazing. We'll see. We'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. Again, I'm eager to see this Bears team. I'm just more eager to see them at that Hall of Fame game than I am during any point in training camp. Just get me to the games, baby. Get me to the games. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap things up here. Keep it an hour show tonight. Feeling a little tired. Got to wake up for work. It was a hot one. Well, it wasn't really a hot one today, but I work outside, so the sun kind of wears you down. Those of you guys that work outside know what I'm talking about. But nonetheless, I appreciate you guys for joining me. Be here tomorrow night. Cubs play the Phillies, so I'll be watching that. Hopefully we get a win. hopefully it doesn't end up in a late inning or extra innings ball game, because God knows how that's going to end for the Cubs. But nonetheless, please like, share, and subscribe. Local Sports Tonight with Ivan Vargas is the channel. You'll see the logo. You'll see the new name on it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Like I said, I'll be watching Cubs Phillies, so you might get some animated Ivan Vargas, so it should be fun. See you guys later.